even before it happened, I would get a phone call or a text. They'd be like, "Hey, Walt Goggins is in." I'm like, "Seriously? We got Walton Goggins? Like, we got David Strathairn. We got like all these people, Haley Bennett, Johnny Knoxville, even down to the smaller roles. It's like everybody showed up and came ready to play."
Risk losing it all?
I said again.
I tried to warn him.
Luck is just a good excuse to do nothing and then hope that an opportunity comes a knocking.
Very excited to talk to you today. Big fan of your work. You've done some amazing things, and it's just shocking to me that the guy from Cobra Kai and the guy from Blackbird is the same guy that's in this. It's just the breadth of what you're capable of is just astounding to me, and I just loved this performance so much that I went in blind, just wanted to see it based on knowing you were in it, was blown away by this film. And then I went and I watched some of the footage on YouTube of the actual Michael and everything that he went through. And it's obviously dramatized for the film, and there's differences between what really occurred and what happens in the film. When you kind of were figuring out how to play Michael, were you playing him as a bad guy who was maybe trying to pull one over, or did you approach this is just a guy that's down on his luck? Well, how did you approach his motivation?
Thank you for those words. I'm so glad you enjoyed the movie. We went into it with Samir Oliveros' vision, which as the director and one of the co-writers, he wanted it to be a sympathetic story where we cast Michael in this light of being a man who wants to kind of get his family back, but is doing it in a rather immature, dangerous manner. I mean, this was kind of the least of all the grifts that he pulled off, in the sense of it being nefarious or negative. Somebody was quoted as saying this was the only honest day's hard work Larson ever did. Because he was doing Ponzi schemes and and sort of deceiving people in other ways outside of the show. So I played him more into the sympathetic nature of what we were going for. But as I found out more about him and his life after the show, I really think that there was a lot of cowardice there, and I wish he would have just put his ego aside and worked on his gambling addiction and gotten some help, because I think he'd still be with us and he would have been around to, see his daughter grow up.
And I definitely got the sympathetic element from this story and from the character, and it's just, seeing everything from the phone calls to, the moment in the car, in the ice cream truck at the beginning where, nobody's watching in that moment. That was like him authentically feeling those things, not trying to pull one over on anybody, but then in the next scene, pulling the button off the coat and intentionally doing something. There's like all of these little moments where it goes back and forth that I found myself wondering as I'm watching it, should I feel sorry for this guy? I did, but I mean, he's doing something that he knows intentionally is wrong. Did you kind of find that duality when you were approaching it?
Yeah, I looked at it like, for me to play the character in the way that I thought was correct, I couldn't think the same way normal people think. I had to think the way he thinks, which I'm surmised that his moral code had been tampered with over a great number of years. It wasn't really a thing he turned on all of a sudden. It was, it was sort of a moral code he adopted over time that was probably incremental. When you get away with X amount of things, you start to kind of, psychologically, you're like, I'm going to justify this with this reasoning. This is my sort of thesis statement behind supporting this methodology. And so I think when he's ripping off a button to get a cheaper price on a jacket, it's like, to him, he's like, so what? The rest of the world is stealing millions of dollars, and we're being lied to by the government. And it's like, some of that may be true, but that still doesn't equate to you being a good person while stealing from a vintage clothing store. So it's just kind of interesting how he tries to justify everything in his own mind.
Absolutely. And I was blown away by, I mean, you've been in films and in series with top-notch actors and filmmakers and writers. This cast is stacked. I mean, this is one of the best
It's a fun
ensembles.
cast, right? It's like
It's
a very
amazing.
eclectic group of people.
It is. I mean, from Patty to, David Strathairn, and I mean, you've got so many people that are in this. How many of these folks were like, when you're working with them, did you ever stop and think like, man, this is one heck of a cast?
Absolutely. Even before it happened, I would get a phone call or a text. They'd be like, "Hey, Walt Goggins is in." I'm like, "Seriously? We got Walton Goggins? Like, we got David Strathairn. We got, like all these people, Haley Bennett, Johnny Knoxville, even down to the smaller roles. It's like everybody showed up and came ready to play and was a total pro, and really was in a lot of ways just very selfless. When you do ensemble work, that we're all character actors in that world. There is no real lead. It really is a team sport versus being somebody's Kobe Bryant or somebody's LeBron James. This is one of those films, and it reminded me of doing theater back in the day. I haven't done theater in 10 years, but back when I did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 2015 at the Loft Ensemble in downtown LA in Little Tokyo in front of 40 people, it's like, there was something so spirited about being with a bunch of other artists, and we know we're not getting paid a ton. We don't know if we're going to get seen, but we're all showing up and doing the work and fully breathing and living this thing. So it felt like a little theater company for a month. I really loved it.
And I was going to say, it definitely has the feel of like a play. It's, these self-contained sequences that are in one room or another. Was there anything in the film, like a scene that you were not in? I mean, you're in so much of it, but like the control room sequences are fantastic. Was there any of those scenes that you maybe watched and were just like watching all these people do their thing, or how did that go?
No, totally. I love all the control room sequences, and if anything, I wish I could have had more scenes there. We shot a scene where I come in and ask for my check, and Damian Young kind of gives me a death stare, and everyone else is looking at me like, "Holy crap, he's real." He just walked into our world. That scene ultimately got cut, but it was cool to get to play with all those actors and have a little moment with them, because I'm a fan of everybody in the movie. Everybody is we're hitting on all cylinders, I think.
And you've done voice work, you've done comedy, you've done drama, you've got projects that are coming up. Obviously, I know there's some that you can't talk about at all, but I was just curious, from the sense of The Naked Gun, what can we kind of expect from that? Because you're taking over a role. Is that different than originating one?
In Naked Gun, I am essentially playing the son of the George Kennedy character from the originals, and Liam Neeson is playing the son of Leslie Nielsen and Frank Drebin Jr. So it was really a mastery of tone. That's one of those things where they got the right guy to make it, being Akiva Schaffer, who I love. I felt like he and his partners took it so seriously, and they were trying to do lowbrow comedy from a highbrow perspective. And how do we make this faithful to the tonality of the originals? And I think they did. I haven't seen the movie yet, but everything I experienced, everything we shot, it feels like, wow, they somehow captured this and are going to make a lot of people really happy, I think.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to check it out. This movie is fantastic. I can't wait for everybody to see it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alex. I love the Lebowski poster in the back. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.